lot of the time, if you're vegan, you hear the critique that veganism is merely a trend. But today we're going to go through why veganism is more than a trend and why it's here to stay. Stick around to the end because the most poignant and important reason why veganism is here to stay will be there. Despite previous confusion, animals have actually been declared sentient. People used to think they were just these inanimate objects, seemingly with no thoughts or feelings at all. But it's becoming increasingly harder to ignore the science surrounding the fact that humans aren't alone in their richness of experience. Animals are indeed sentient, so it means that when we put them through the horrors that we put through, they are indeed horrors for them. When we know just how bad these things are going to be for these animals, exploiting them, killing them, putting them in these situations, the criticism is going to ramp up and up. Coming off the back of that, we are more educated than ever now. Yes, we now know animals are sentient, and we know these things that people will use to criticize vegans. Say, oh, think of all the forests you have to tear down, to pay for your soy, forgetting that now we understand that so much of the soy that we grow is actually fed to livestock animals, as they're deemed. Or, for example, people will criticize plant-based diets saying they're not suitable, but we understand that due to the scientific consensus, they are in fact suitable for all stages of life. We know about things such as B12, vitamin D. People, if they wish to be healthy, because it's their body after all, can make healthy choices within a vegan lifestyle. That means it's then harder to make excuses to not partake in this avoidance of exploitation. Less and less excuses are apparent. It means more people are just going to fold and accept that they don't actually have an argument for what they're doing. There's more vegan options than ever before. I personally have been vegan for 11 years now, and I've seen a massive shift in vegan options. I could see why some people might have said 11 years ago that it's a bit more of a challenge to be vegan, but even then it was possible. But with every option that pops up, there's less and less excuses because the convenience increases. And let's be real, a lot of people don't have very much strength in their morals. It kind of boils down to what's convenient for them. And if it's convenient to be vegan, then yet again, why aren't you? It may also be a case that we are in an age where people have the time to try and improve themselves, try and introspect more than we probably did in the past. More things that have kind of been seen as commonplace are being critiqued in this day and age so that people change their behavior surrounding things. Let's pick out a scenario. You have person A and person B. Person A and person B are basically equal in every single way. They do all the same behaviors every single day of their lives, except person A kicks a dog every single Monday. We can probably accept that person A is not as moral of a person as person B. We'd probably go as far to say that person B is a better person. We are morally better when we don't subject others to moral atrocities. And as mentioned, it seems that people are looking for more ways to not have a negative impact on their surroundings. Being vegan is a significant way to achieve this, just due to how horrific the consequences are for animals if we don't consider them. This is another good reason why veganism is here to stay. A lot of people, seemingly in this time of having more introspection, seem to have a real big problem with killing animals, a real big problem with seeing them being sent to slaughterhouses, with the concept of them being born into existence, then being separated from their families. Like, even in the non-food context that people tend to focus on so much, we see dogs, for example, there's a lot of this adopt, don't shop, and things come up like, oh, you're separating these puppies from their mums. Like, I remember growing up, that wasn't even a thing that was considered. Yeah, they were just taken from their babies. So what? Now it seems like these conversations are being had more from the perspective of the animal and how much that would negatively affect them. Beforehand, animals were never in the picture at all. Animals have gone through such hardship. How many wars have been fought that forcibly involved animals? How many tributes really exist for these animals who never wanted to go to war, didn't have a problem with the animals that, they were going to war against? How many times have you seen a really wholesome interaction, a really brilliant thing happening for humanity on the literal backs of other sentient beings? Videos that are supposed to be so brilliant, so celebrated. while a corpse of an animal is laying there, their plight not even being considered. And a lot of people seem to feel increasingly guilty about this because the experience of these animals is now more so than ever seemingly being considered, because their stories are being shown more, because we're slowly starting to acknowledge that, yeah, maybe they are individuals with their own personalities and perspectives. That guilt is going to increase because they're being seen as what they are, a victim. And if you go vegan, then you don't have to feel guilty about it anymore. Of course, there are other problems where you become just painfully aware of the plight and how vast it is, but you don't have to feel so guilty about it anymore, at least. As more and more people get involved in veganism, there becomes a growing community. There's going to be all sorts of personalities with all different perspectives, and as that grows, people have more support and more representation for who they are as a person and what they value. It can be challenging when we're online. You get so many comments about how you apparently look emaciated. There's all these negative things that are associated with your appearance alone, just on the mere mention of you being vegan. So much negative feedback can mess with your head if you don't have that strong conviction. And as we were talking about before, we're becoming more educated than ever. So the argumentation is firmer. We can actually stand these comments and have the debunk ready, because the community is filling with passionate people, science-based thinkers, logical thinkers, free thinkers, and that really helps put things into perspective. People may stick to it long-term more so because they feel more supported in that endeavor. But here's the main reason veganism is more than a trend, because trends are short-term. Veganism has been around for generations in its philosophy, long before the name was even coined. It's becoming easier than ever to live a life that considers animals. So to call it something like a fad or a trend doesn't really make sense. The term itself has been around longer than a trend would be. But yeah, the philosophy predates the term itself. But let's not forget the only reason that people really need and why people stick to it long term. The animals. When people really think about it, people don't want to exploit animals. We are not the center of the universe. Their lives also mean something to them, like our lives mean something to us. Who wants to not take that option if it's there? And this is the thing, people don't want to exploit animals, but we're kind of brought up just kind of accepting exploitation as part of our everyday. But seemingly more so than ever, you have advocates educating people, spreading the word, actually challenging people's viewpoints, discourse happening about this, so we can internally challenge ourselves. Veganism is the future, and people can try and shoo it away, but unfortunately for them, perhaps it's not going anywhere. Fortunately for the animals, however, we will continue to be vegan, and we'll see more vegans just around the corner. Let us know what you think down below if we missed any reason why veganism is a long-term thing, more than just a trend as it seems to be deemed. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to go vegan for the animals, because they are who it means everything to.